Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 3 a.m. Knitter Podcast, episode number 7. My name is Anne, and I am so happy that you are here joining me today. If this is your first time here, a very warm welcome to you. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching all of the episodes and commenting and sending me your love. I do appreciate it. It makes getting on camera and recording these episodes so much easier to know that you are enjoying them. So welcome. A quick bit of housekeeping as always. You can find me on Instagram as the 3 a.m. Knitter. Email is 3amknitter@gmail.com. I do have my snail mail address down in the comments below that you can take advantage of if you need to. And there is also a link to my Patreon page if you are interested in checking that out. So that's it for housekeeping. All of it out of the way now. Let's jump right in with what I'm wearing. So today I'm wearing this vintage sweater. This is a sweater that was the last sweater that my grandma made for me. And it's got a beautiful tulip yoke here. It runs into the sleeves, of course, and it comes down to about waist height, I guess. You can see that. And I don't know if you can tell from the fabric, it is a little worse for wear, but it is my favorite sweater. And I wear it nowadays sparingly because it is getting a little bit fragile, if you will. And of course, my grandma is gone now, so I want to, wear this when I need some, how do I explain this? Some kind of internal TLC. Her hands knit this, and it makes me feel really good to wear it. So, I really should get the cleaner out and kind of give it a clean up, but there's something beautiful to just allowing this sweater to be as it is. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's got pills all over it. It's not as soft as it once was. I do wash it very carefully by hand, and I lay it flat to dry, and I wear it when I just need that warm hug. So I don't know, I guess I could clean it up, but I just like feeling that it was not only knit with love, but that it's worn with the same, if that makes sense to you. Do you have an old sweater or, an old scarf or shawl or something along those lines that was knit for you by somebody that you love the most, and you just want to take care of it as best as you can so it lasts forever? Let me know down in the comments if you have a garment such as that. Anyway, that's what I'm wearing today, is the grand sweater. The grand sweater is what I call it. So brings up a bunch of nostalgia for me, and yeah, it's a great piece to wear. It also, as I'm looking at it, it also shows the strength and longevity of well-made garments. So I was perhaps 16 or 17 when my grandma made me this sweater, in my late teens somewhere. And so this is a 40-year-old sweater. So when things are well made, they last. And I think that's part of the reason why we as knitters or crafters, it's why we create. It's because we want to have something that lasts, right? Anyway, let's move along. Let's talk about current WIPs, current works in progress. So you will recall from the last episode that I am participating in my LYS's knit along. So we're doing this year of adventurous knitting, and this is the second knit along of the year. The first knit along we did a shawl, which was the coffee break shawl. So you can go back and take a look in previous episodes to find that. I loved that shawl. I loved the ability to use minis in it, so you didn't have to jump into a main color or a full skein rather. And also it had a lot of different texture in it, so that was really fun to work. So this time I am knitting up the Aster Tee, and that is pardon me, a pattern by Megan Nodecker. I'm not quite sure if I said her name right, but so right now it's a bottom-up construction, and right now I'm still on the body. So it's fingering weight that I'm using. It is in the colorway Morning Fog, and it's my LYS Natural Ewe Yarns. It's their Pure and Simple Merino. So it is a kind of a gray-y, taupey color. And you can see that within the fabric, it's got kind of browns and yellows that are sneaking in. So if I show you the caked up yarn, whoops, there we go. Oh, sorry, I'm all tangled there. So yeah, so you can see the colorway here. So my original plan for this this tee was to pair it up for the colorwork yoke, which I'll show you in a moment, was to pair it up with these purples, right? Various minis in the purples. But as I started knitting the body, what I realized is that as these hints of color started popping into the fabric, kind of see it kind of right here. You can see that, right? I realized that the purples just weren't going to work. These are in a brown and a yellowish kind of color. So what I've decided is to migrate to greens. So I've chosen these minis. So some of them are variegated, some are tonal, as you can see. And I think that that pairs with these browns and yellows that are popping up in this stockinette fabric. I think it pairs far better. So I'm going to swatch a couple of these up with my main color, the Morning Fog, and see if I truly like it. I think it's certainly going to be better than the purple, but we'll see if the greens really are going to work. So stay tuned for that. I anticipate that I'll be almost, if not finished, by the next episode. So yeah, you watch my Instagram feed for some updates on that if you want to get an early update. But I'm really enjoying knitting this up so far, even though I'm just on the stockinette part, the body part. So I'll just pop this Ravelry picture. So that's the yoke right there. So you can see it's done in a variety of stitches. So the t-shirt is, not quite sure if that's too glary for you. So there's a better close-up of the stitch at the top. It's a short sleeve. The pattern so far, and I've read through it a number of times, is pretty easy to follow. So this is by Megan Nodecker of Pip and Pin. It is the Pip and Pin Collective Mini Skeins series. And it's a paid for pattern. It's $8 US or $11.30 Canadian. And I talked about this last episode. I'm using 4mm circs. It's got a regular fingering weight gauge, 24 stitches and 32 rounds for 4 inches or 10 centimeters. And you can see all the schematics on Ravelry. I'll link to the Ravelry page for the pattern in the show notes down below. There is, let's see, there are 13 projects so far. One of them being mine. So yeah, so check it out on Ravelry. If you're looking for a spring or summer tee that is relatively lightweight, because it is just done in fingering. So I think that this will be, you know, this will be fine. Let me just pull that out a bit to use over the summer, right? So it is relatively lightweight. I'm looking forward to getting this done because I don't often knit. I don't often knit tees. Actually, I don't, except for the one that I showed, the tank top that I showed last episode. I don't think I have any other tees knit up. So it'll be interesting to see if once I get this done, if I actually use it as a wearable piece in my wardrobe. If I do, I will definitely knit a few more. We'll see. We'll see what comes up with that. So check out that. I think that you will, you'll enjoy taking a look at some of the projects that are in here. There's quite a few shown that are in different sizes. So that's very helpful when it comes to deciding if this is the pattern for you. So the other thing that I've been working on, every once in a while, I get the urge to do cross stitching. I love cross stitching. Well, you can see I've got a project set up right here, but I joined a group on Facebook, and it's all about stitching this year, right? Is starting something and getting it finished this year. And so I went through the multitude of cross stitch patterns that I already have, and you know, there's nothing really screaming my name. So I went on a secondhand, Canadian secondhand cross stitch page on Facebook, and I found a number of patterns that tweaked my interest. So what I've decided to do is I've started one project. Bear with me while I take a little drink of my tea here. Chamomile passion fruit tea, delicious. So I've started a pattern by Freda's Fancy Stitching. Freda Murfin is the designer. It's a Canadian designer, and it's a series of 4, and it's called the Quadrille. Quadrille? I don't even know if my French is working really well here, but this is the first pattern here that I'm currently working on. Now you can see that they've done it in just 2 colors, but I'm doing it in 5. And so far, this is the way this is the work that I've gotten completed on this. So you can see it's just very simple stitching. I'm just doing, this is an 18 count Ada that I'm using, and I plan to use the same colors in all 4 of them. So you got the idea of the first one there, and then this is the second. So I'm going to use all the same colors in these, but I'm going to switch up which is the main, if you know what I mean. So, and the third one here, and then number 4. Oops, let me get the glare. There we go. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, I just need a wee break from the knitting, so I pull out my cross stitch. So this is a small enough project that I can keep it down by my my knitting chair down in front of the TV. A little needle minder there. This is perfectly imperfect, which it so describes me. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the process of getting back into the stitching. And so I also, in that group that I was telling you about, secondhand patterns, I also found this, which will be the next pattern that I start once I finish the series of 4. I don't know how well you can see that, but this is an ink circles pattern, the cercle. So it's all again done in, they've used variegated floss here. So, and it's done on black, which in and of itself is a challenge. So we'll see. And then this project here that I have set up is one that I'm modifying from the original patterns. This is a Little House Needleworks series, and it's 12 little squares that have sayings and just small little patterns in them. Hope, love, peace, courage, faith, simplicity, patience, wisdom, friendship, kindness, gratitude, and joyfulness. It's the Virtues series. So what I'm doing on this this setup right here, I'm going to do all 12 in one piece and just separate them with some sort of a fun border. So these are relatively small, each of the motifs, 61 stitches by 61 stitches. So that's going to just stay here in my workroom, and when I feel like a simple stitch that doesn't require a whole lot of concentration, I can come and work on that here. So that's gotten me a little bit away from the knitting over the last couple of weeks, but it's a nice break, right? It's a nice break from the stitching. So I just realized that I forgot to bring my sock. Anyway, I can show you some of the other ones. So you may have, or you may recall that I have the my test knit for my new sock pattern out and about in the world, and I've got some amazing testers who are working on this pattern and providing me fantastic feedback to make sure that everything is clear and what have you in the pattern before I get that released out to you. My goal is to have this released next month, and I will update you on that as more information comes available. So bear with me just 1 minute. I'm just pulling up a few of the test knitters pictures. So here we go here. Whoops. So my beautiful test knitter on Instagram at Burnt Wine, she finished this sock. Let me turn the other way. Yeah, so the 2 heart motifs down the front. Oh, it's so beautiful. So pleased with that. And then I have another wonderful test knitter, Marguerite Bork, who is using a beautiful, beautiful red. Oh, so nice. Rather apropos for a heart. Yeah, she's doing a lovely job. Oh, that's Burnt Wine again. And then Connie, my test knitter Connie, she did hers in white. And look at that. So she did the 2 motifs just on the front. The pattern is going to offer an option 1 and an option 2 for the leg design. The heel construction is a heel flap and gusset, but the fabric on the heel flap is, it's a subtler fabric. It's a little bit of a different stitch, giving a softer construction. We have, I'll show the other one actually that she posted because it's a finished sock. When to Craft did hers in a beautiful gray color, and then played Yarn Chicken, but unfortunately lost, and so put a really nice contrast toe on hers. So really nice. So the test knitters are doing a fantastic job. I'm so pleased. I can't wait to get this pattern out to you. It's been such a great process going through with the test knitters and, realizing that just because, when you're knitting, if you are a sock knitter, you know how to rearrange your stitches on the needle. But when you're actually writing it down, you can't just make the assumption that knitters know all of the tips and tricks. So you have to make sure that you're very clear on the instructions. So this has been a really good learning exercise for me as a designer, and getting this input from my test knitters, who are just love them, has been so great. So yeah, so there's that. Actually, I think I might, oh no, I have them on my other device. So follow Instagram. If you follow the hashtag open my heart socks, you'll start seeing all of the test knits that are coming in. And yeah, I look forward to getting that pattern out to you. I'll let you know ASAP when it's ready to purchase. So good news there. So, in other news, I wanted to show you, if I can turn this, with pride, that Whip Mountain is now down to one basket right there. Look at that, one basket on that top shelf. There used to be two. Now I know it's piled a little high, but if you recall from a number of episodes ago, there was two baskets there piled really super high. So I'm very pleased about that. So I am working on the potato chip scarf. A lot of you said to me, no way, just finish it and gift it, right? Even though perhaps it's not super duper in style anymore. I am doing that. And then I got another suggestion on a previous episode when I was talking about that beautiful fabric that I purchased from my bag maker, Be by Design. So I should have mentioned that my Aster Tee is being housed in my Be by Design project bag. This is my favorite bag designer, Bridget. She's from Ontario, and the bottom of this bag and the straps are done in cork. And then there's this beautiful fabric. I also use, so that's my Aster Tee project bag. And for my cross stitch, I'm also using a Be by Design pouch. So just holding my flosses and extra needles and my scissors in here. So Bridget has all of these available in different fabrics on her Etsy shop, which I'll link below. But I purchased some of this fabric in the black background and the brown background. And somebody on a post or a comment rather said to me, Anne, why don't you cover the cushions of your chair? And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm washing up the fabric and I'm going to draw a pattern and I'm going to see if I can cover these cushions. Now, that being said, I don't have enough of each fabric to do, like I don't have enough of one fabric to do both the cushions. So I thought I would just do the seat and leave the brown on the back and then use the other fabric for something else. So I'm gonna play around with that and I'll let you know how that goes. So Whip Mountain down to one basket. So that's a good thing. All right, what's next? So one of my favorite projects in the last number of years has been the Curious Handmade Handmade Sock Society. So I usually don't purchase patterns or do mystery make-alongs or knit-alongs because I always get nervous that what I'm going to get is going to be something that I don't like. But I thought about this Handmade Sock Society that Helen Stewart, the Curious Handmade, put out last time. It was number 4. I thought, oh, you know what? What the heck? It was 6 patterns that were released, one each month for 6 months, sock patterns. And you paid in advance for all of the patterns, and really it was like 20 bucks Canadian, give or take. And I thought, oh, for 20 bucks, what the heck, right? 6 patterns, even if I don't like them all, there's likely going to be, at least a couple that I like, and the rest of them, it's still sock knitting, so I can knit the socks as gifts if I don't personally like the pattern. Well, as it turned out, I loved every single pattern that came out in the Handmade Sock Society number 4. So I was super excited to find out this past week that the Handmade Sock Society number 5 is coming due. And I, of course, jumped right on it. So I got the early bird pricing, and there is a Ravelry page set up for it. So basically it is, let me just tell you a little bit about it. So here is the Ravelry page, Handmade Sock Society. I'll just make this bigger so you can see her main kind of picture for it. There it is there, the Handmade Sock Society, season 5. All right, so here's the thing. 6 delightful new sock knitting patterns to savor the 5th season of the Handmade Sock Society is an exploration of natural wonders and a celebration of our natural curiosity. We live in a world that's bursting at the seams with small mysteries and marvels, glittering crystals and smooth pebbles, fossils and feathers, and the cast-off shells of strange creatures, ancient coins from lost civilizations, and handmade trinkets from far-off countries, etc., etc. I'll let you go and read the rest. Whether you're an adventurous new knitter eager to cast on your first sock, or whether you're a passionate sock expert looking for new inspirations, this collection of mystery patterns and our warm community of like-minded makers will nourish your curiosity, because she also has a Ravelry group, which is superb. So there are 6 patterns. Pattern release dates will come out. So the first one's May the 4th, and then June 1st, July 6th, August 3rd, September 7th, and October 5th. So 6 patterns. Currently, you can pre-order at the early bird price, and it's £10.75 British pounds, or $18.91 Canadian. Seriously, $18.91 for 6 patterns. That's a phenomenal price. Yarn weight is light fingering, usually 2.25 millimeter needles or US 1. Yardage is about 425 per pair, give or take. And there's 3 sizes, small, medium, and large for each pattern. So I jumped right on board because I enjoyed the season 4 so much. I actually made 3 of the socks out of season 4. So let's see. So the first pattern that I did, this is back in 2021. Let's see. I knit these up really quickly. The picnic blanket socks. So here is, bear with me just one minute while I pick up my, so here is the picnic basket socks. Let me just pull this onto the, so it is a really comfy sock with this ruching kind of detail in the leg. Isn't that neat? And then a nice rounded toe, regular heel flap and gusset. I knit this pair using, bear with me, Songbird yarn and fibers from Stratford, Ontario. This is the, I don't even know how to say this word, perhuloxia. Good luck with that. I'll put a link to my project page so you can see it. But it is this beautiful gray with dark and light gray and white and these speckles of beautiful red, a little bit of pink in there, of course. Isn't that nice? So that was one of the socks that I made. My Ravelry page is there. If I go to the picnic blanket socks here. So individually, the patterns, when it goes past the early bird, are six British pounds, or $10.55 Canadian. So jump on this if you want. So you can see from her project page here that these socks are meant to be kind of slouchy, right? They're super comfortable socks. So I was really, really pleased with that particular pattern. So that's one of the patterns in season 4 that I knit up. And then just recently you saw in my Whip Mountain my Wild Bee socks. So this is another one of the patterns from season 4. So you remember these ones where I ripped out the heel and the what have you, and did them all in, again, songbird fibers. So, you know, it's got a fabulous design here on the front that goes all the way down the sock, front of the sock. Yeah. So that is another one of the patterns there. I did that in Songbird Fibers American Kestrel. So if I can find, oops, yeah. Again, then the third pattern out of that series that I knit up was called the Curling Mist Socks. And let me just get these on here. So it's got like a little, you can see like a little cable-y detail here. The sock or the heel construction is very interesting. Again, the rounded toe. Super enjoyed wearing those. These ones are really comfortable. I used one Twisted Tree Prime in Shrewd Lady Mary for these ones. Now, I think that one Twisted Tree no longer hand dyes, but a really super nice yarn. Let me see if I've got any notes here. Deep Stash Dive. Yeah, as usual, the pattern doesn't disappoint. Yeah, so I really enjoyed making those. So that was 3 socks out of the 6 that I made. So the other patterns that are available, which I have not knit yet, this is one of them, the Scribbly Gum Socks. I'm sorry, I'll go this way. So that's got a nice little detail. Yeah. I didn't not knit those for any reason other than I just didn't get to them. These ones, I think I had cast these ones on at one point, but then I didn't like the yarn. So these ones are called the Spinifex socks. Oh, there's a bad glare there, eh? Spinifex. I don't know if you can, there, maybe that's a little bit better. Spinifex socks. Yeah. And then the final pattern of the series is the Lavender Field socks. I will definitely be casting these on. I just don't have a yarn in my stash that suits this pattern to my mind. So I'm holding off on those ones as well. So I'm really looking forward to the new Secret Sock Society season 5. She gives a hint by showing this picture of a special yarn that was dyed up for the socks. Look at that. Ooh, that's a great colorway. I am only knitting from stash right now, so I won't be purchasing any yarn for this particular knit along. So if you're interested, you can find this on Ravelry. I will link it below. I will link the Instagram information for this knit along as well. But really, if you are a sock knitter or you want to be a sock knitter, I can attest to Helen Stewart's sock patterns as being written brilliantly. They're very clear, they're very easy to follow, and I would encourage you to jump on board if you would like to knit up some socks for the spring and the summer. So that's what's coming up next for me. Also, I have a new sock pattern that will be ready to go out for testing probably May 1st. I'll put the call out for testers starting May 1st. And it's based on, you can see the new book that I got here. I posted about on Instagram. I got this at a thrift shop for $5, Charted Knitting Designs. So I've been wildly looking through it and finding inspiration for stitches and things like that. So I'll be putting out a call for the next test knit around May the 1st. So watch Instagram for that. And I'll talk about it more as we get closer. So we're going to pause now, and I'm going to insert the second segment of The Power of Sticks and Strings with my guest, Monica. Monica is going to share with us her story about infertility and knitting and how that has impacted her life. So I hope that you enjoy, and I will be back with you shortly. Take good care. Welcome everybody to the second segment of The Power of Sticks and Strings. I am absolutely thrilled to be welcoming Monica Cox to come and chat with us this time around about how we use our knitting or crafting to help us through those difficult times or those challenges that we come across, particularly, specifically as women. Monica's going to share her story with us today about infertility and how she has used the beautiful craft of knitting to help her through that. So welcome, Monica. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. So can you share with us, let's just jump right in. Share with us your story. Go into as much detail as you're comfortable sharing. And let's just chat about how you were able to use your crafting, your knitting to help you through.
Yeah. Well, so I started crocheting when I was about 20 years old. It was the cool thing to do, ironically, for snowboarders to make their own beanies. And I was amongst some of the top snowboarders in the world. And it was super fun, super cool. And I took to it really quickly, and I continued, honing my craft and really just making beanies for years and years. And then I started trying to conceive when I was 27, and it didn't happen easily, which was a big shock. I was quote unquote healthy, had all the working bits, and I just continued on, and I saw the cutest baby jumper, like a little sweater in a knit window. And I thought, I want that. I want my baby to have that. I didn't know how to knit though. I was a crocheter. I was like, I guess I have to teach myself how to knit. So in the early years of my infertility journey, I was teaching myself how to knit and still crocheting. And the ironic thing was I only liked doing baby stuff. I only liked making little toys or the baby jumpers, anything over the age of 5, like I wasn't
Right.
interested in, right? And I just continued doing this. And I didn't realize at the time that this was a form of meditation,
Mm,
joy, inner peace, and creativity for
yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of it. You know, you talk about 10,000 hours, we're talking close to 30,000 hours of knitting and crocheting. And my mother-in-law is an amazing knitter. She ended up making this baby jumper with us. We did both
Mhm.
different bits of it. And I started creating my own patterns, and she was just like, wow, look how far you've come. And I guess with hindsight, it gave me a place to go and just to feel whole and to know that I could do something amazing with my skills. And it, once again, ironically, it came to be known that anytime you had a baby, you were getting a handcrafted beanie from myself. These were highly sought after. If someone didn't get it, I would hear about it.
Right, right.
And when it came time to have my own baby, they suggested bringing a little beanie, and I made the beanie too small.
Oh
Even
no.
on the baby's head. I didn't mess up on the second time around,
Right.
but yeah, it was just such an amazing place to be during that time, even with all the hardship, all the disappointment, to have that to escape to was really a godsend.
For sure. Now, did you, I wonder sometimes, when we're faced with these types of adversities, um, you know, doing that craft, obviously brought you joy, as you say, but did you bump up against, you know, as you were knitting or crocheting or anything like that, did you bump up against this? Did it ever bring you sadness because you were making things for people that were having babies and that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, no, it never
No,
did. That was the
I
really
love
interesting
this.
part, right?
Yeah.
I was just always super excited to see the outcome of what I was creating. And for a long time, I had a whole box. My first child got to wear all the kind of neutral or boys things that I knitted. My second child got to wear none of them because we moved to Hawaii.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but no, it never really brought me sadness. I think it really instilled hope in me,
Oh, I
which,
love that.
yeah. And I didn't know that I was doing that, right? This wasn't a conscious process. It's only with hindsight I can look back and I can remember the pieces and where I was when I made those pieces. And it was always just a sense of joy and happiness. And I've given away to some of my clients who I've helped them conceive little girls because I had all this girl stuff, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
because there's just so much more for girls than there is boys. But and it was just like a real kind of full circle.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I made it. So this person can have it. Where in your mind you have those expectations, well, this is for me. And it's sometimes just not.
So was it almost like a manifestation
It must have been.
exercise? Right? Like I'm doing this because, I would love to see my baby in this, but you're creating it for somebody else. But in the action of of doing it, you're doing that meditation while you're working, even if you're not conscious of it, I believe,
Yeah,
right? And there is some manifestation in there, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, the thing is, with hindsight that I see is even though I was doing, it wasn't the type of doing that I was in the process of trying to make something happen,
Okay.
right? I was going to create this, and however long it took me to create it, I was going to create it, right? I never did put a timeline or a demanding spot. And I think that is what is important about manifestation is you have to do the steps to get to where you want to go. You have to
Right.
crochet, you have to
Yeah.
knit, but it's the surrender piece that there was no outcome to it.
Right. No
Whatever,
expectation.
no
Yeah.
expectation.
Yeah.
And that's the definition of manifestation. Right?
Right.
And I wish I could just apply that to a lot more things in my life.
No kidding.
And that's the key. Um, but I do find myself now lost without it, and I didn't realize that what was happening because I have two boys, I have a
Right.
business, I have a much busier life. I know it's awful to say, but if you're dealing with a struggle of having children, enjoy that time because
Hmm.
when they come, your time isn't your own anymore for quite a
Right.
few years. So just recently, I've started to pick it back up and just to sit and be with the knitting, be with the knitting for no outcome, not to sell it, not to give it to anyone, just to put it in a box, and it will go to the right home when it goes. Has brought that joy back into my life for sure.
Does the process feel differently now that you're just knitting or crocheting for the sake of doing it?
No, because I think I was doing it before,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I was still just doing it to do it because I loved it. Not, I mean, I did have like a little business and things like that, but it wasn't anything that I needed to pay the bills with.
Right.
So no, it feels the same and it feels good. I think the difference is now I know I don't have as much time.
Yeah.
So I I and I tend not to, that would be the first thing I would go to.
Okay.
Right. Like at night it'd be like, okay, I get to sit down and I get to knit and that's all I'm doing. Where now it's like, oh, do I need to do the laundry? Do I have to finish the dishes? Do I have to get some business stuff done? Do I have to, like all this other, the boys haven't gone to bed, little things like that.
Sure.
So there is a difference to it. But the love and the joy is still there.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. So when you're working with clients, tell me about that. How do you work with your clients? Do you incorporate this as an idea for your clients?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's mandatory for them to bring joy into their life.
Yeah.
And find whatever it is that does that for them. And they actually have to send me like photographic evidence of them
Nice.
attempting it. Yeah. Because it's so important, right? That's the
Right.
thing that is missing in any hardship journey is the joy gets sucked out of your life. You
Right.
get overwhelmed and the scheduling and the medication, like whatever it is, and you don't bring room for joy, where it should be the complete opposite. You should find the time for joy now,
Yeah.
especially during the dark times. And once again, it's the same thing with manifestation, right?
Yeah.
You got to act as if you are being
Yeah.
that person. So I say to clients, just imagine if a baby, because I do believe in spirit babies, they're up there, they're watching you, they're looking down, you're miserable.
Yeah.
You hate life. You can't do anything right. Your body's broken. Your baby room's a junkyard. And they're looking at you and they're like, I need you to get your stuff together before I come down because I don't want to come down right now. And so when you bring in that joy and you make space right now, doing the things that you love, obviously it's going to have a physical reaction to your body that's contributing to the infertility anyways, but it also has a spiritual meaning and that creativity and the joy that you're doing. Your baby and yourselves, the realm above us are looking down going, oh, look at that, they're ready.
That's where I want to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the joy. A lot of the coaching that I do with women, it's something similar to that in that they're dealing with willpower issues, and I try to lead them into a space where they realize they don't need willpower, they need pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they incorporate more pleasure into their lives or more joy into their lives, then everything else follows suit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think that we forget that. We forget to go to the good.
Yeah. And
Right.
it's a mindset thing too, right? I believe that every choice that you've consciously made from the age that you start making choices for yourself stem from all the subconscious stuff that got put inside of you.
Right.
Right. So if you are finding yourself in a hardship and then you find yourself really down about that hardship, starting with you don't even have to believe it, just starting to shift the way you look at things is dramatically going to change your situation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And until you kind of understand that your emotions, your thoughts, your subconscious actually is the driver of your life, you're always going to be in that victim mentality.
Yeah.
You know, and it could be simple things. I mean, the first thing that I did was say when I get pregnant, not if I get pregnant.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that it didn't magically get me pregnant, but it
No.
magically started so many other things in my life that kept me going.
For sure. For sure. So this is just fascinating. And I think that, dealing just on its simplicity, being able to find an outlet to deal with the stress of going through something like you've been through, um, sitting quietly and using your hands to create and just allowing what's going on in the background to go on while you're busy creating with your hands and you're watching your hands work. I think that's beautiful. So if how do people reach out to you, Monica, if they're interested in learning more about what you can help them with?
Yeah, so I have a company called Finding Fertility, and we're everywhere on the internet and social media, podcasts. So if you just Google that, you'll find me.
Excellent. Okay, excellent. This has been amazing. This has been so eye-opening, and I thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it's an important story for women who just don't know what next step to take to help them get into that better mindset and better body set, if you will, feeling better to help them on this journey. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So that's it for today, everybody. I hope that you have enjoyed Monica's story. And if you are interested in learning more, I will put all of her credentials down in the show notes, and you can reach out to her at your leisure. So take good care and keep knitting.
Welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that segment with my new friend, Monica. What a powerful story. If you've got similar stories, let me know. Post down below, send me an email. Let me know. I would love to have you come on an episode or a segment of The Power of Sticks and Strings and share your story about how knitting or crafting in general has helped you through anything. Let us know. Your story is valuable, and the more that we share, the better we all are. So I hope that you'll consider if you're called to. So we're back to the segment now of my favorites. I wanted to let you know about my LYS, and I want you to think about your LYS. And if you don't have an LYS, come and join me with my LYS. So April the 29th of this month, so next week, is Support Your Local Yarn Store Day. What better reason to go shopping? Whoops. So there is my LYS's little Instagram post there. Support Your Local Yarn Store Day. So let's see. Show support for small businesses while spreading awareness and celebrating craft. We plan to spread the love both in store and online, so keep your eyes peeled for announcements. So it is so important that we are consistently supporting our local businesses, right? I know it's super easy to jump online and just to purchase stuff from, around the world. And isn't it great that we can do that? It absolutely is. But it's also of the utmost importance that we support those local businesses to us. Because if we don't, then there just won't be any. So if you can, go and support your local yarn store. Supporting your local yarn store doesn't necessarily mean going into the store and buying something or going online to their online presence and buying something there. It could simply mean that you post about your local yarn store, or you tag them in a project that you made that they inspired you to make, or you tell a friend about a great business that you know. So think about some unique ways that you can support your local yarn store on April 29th and every other day after that. So, all right. The other thing that is my fave is in a town just a little ways away from where I live here in northern Nova Scotia. There's a town called Tatamagouche, Nova Scotia, and I just love saying that name, Tatamagouche. It just feels good. There is a local yarn store there as well called Sisterhood Fibers, and they are hosting, let me just bring it up here so I can show you. Sisterhood Fibers, there we go. So in September of this year, the September the 13th until the 16th, if you happen to be in northern Nova Scotia, they are hosting Woolstock East. Look at that, Woolstock East, another fabulous event. Workshops, all different kinds of things to learn, needle felting, learning to spin if that's in the cards for you, mosaic knitting, intro to rug hooking. Rug hooking is huge here in Nova Scotia. Indigo and shibori, wet and needle felting, rigid heddle weaving. So you can register for those if you're in the area. But there's also going to be tons and tons of stuff to buy. So if you are in the area and would like to check that out, I will put a link to the Instagram page here for Sisterhood Fibers, and you can get yourself some Nova Scotia crafting on. You bet. Okay, so that's all for my faves today. Let's jump into our Knitter's Oracle reading, or our Knitter's Oracle cards. So let's give them a little shuffle here this morning. And I always just stop when I'm ready, split the deck in half, and pull a top card. Oh, all right. Today we have the Moth. Let's see what the Moth has to say. 36. Oh, I think I went too far. There we go. All right. The dreaded moth. Much like finding a moth in your yarn stash, the moth card denotes suffering, despair, pain, and hardship. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to have such a yucky thoughts for a Sunday morning. It can represent a burden you must bear, sorting and cleaning all of that yarn, or the sorrows of loss, your finest alpaca destined for the trash pile. While it's true that it's always darkest before the dawn, this card does not have much of a bright side. Try to salvage some catharsis from the experience if you're able. Maybe even a hard lesson, or pardon me, a hard learned lesson for the future. Oh, the moth. Yeah, isn't it awful when you find insect damage in your yarn or on a garment? Oh, just breaks my heart. But I guess for me, what's coming up when I think about this is taking care, taking precaution, making sure that things are stored properly so you avoid this type of a problem. And that kind of filters down into everything in life, right? Is, we try to be as prepared as we can, or to take care of our things, or to take care of our wellness, take care of our mental health, take care. so we don't get into these situations where, you know, that we have to throw things out or there's a burden. So maybe the card for me is not that bad. Maybe the card is just that reminder that we need to be vigilant when it comes to ensuring that everything is in its right place and is taken care of properly. Let me know what you think. That's an interesting card. So friends, that's it for today. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode and the Power of Sticks and Strings segment. I look forward to being back with you in a couple of weeks. Do reach out. I love to read your comments, and I do my very, very best to answer each and every one of you. And don't forget that you can find me on Instagram, where I try to post more regularly. And if you are so inclined, you can meet me over on Patreon. So keep knitting, take good care, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.